Good morning. Thank you all for coming. Today, we announce the results of 4 significant investigations into criminal conduct at child care facilities in the city. Our investigations demonstrate, yet again, that illegal conduct, such as falsifying documents and stealing city funds, have far-reaching implications. In these cases, the charged conduct jeopardized the health and safety of children in New York City, a priority for me, for DOI, and for each of the district attorneys standing before you. I want to recognize and thank Brooklyn District Attorney Ken Thompson and Staten Island District Attorney Dan Donovan and their team of prosecutors for their partnership and dedication on these important cases. 7 months ago, when I started this job, I focused DOI's attention on how our work can and should and will protect the health and safety of New Yorkers. It is a prime goal of mine and that of my inspectors general. These cases show that we are realizing that vision. Each of these investigations developed after the City Health Department reported to DOI concerns related to certain facilities. The investigation then showed that each of these defendants had falsified documents either to cover up safety hazards or to steal money. For example, our investigators found forged medical records and fingerprint background letters from DOI, falsified letters stating employees received training in child abuse identification, teachers who never received their credentials, and fake educational degrees. These fabrications meant that the city did not have a clear picture of the staff and operations at these sites and whether children were appropriately protected. In other words, this is not just about paperwork, but what stands behind it. And what stands behind it must be fact, not fiction. Before I describe the investigations, I want to point out 2 important facts. First, none of the 9 child care sites in Brooklyn and Staten Island associated with these defendants were providers of universal pre-kindergarten programs. 6 of the sites are closed, 2 were referred to the state for closure, and 1 has been allowed to operate until the end of the year, but was inspected this week and no present violations were found. In all, these sites were permitted to serve more than 400 children. Let me give you a quick overview of the investigation, and then District Attorneys Thompson and Donovan can give you more details. In each of these cases, the owners and operators of these facilities face an array of charges. First, Owen Larman was an owner of Next to Home Child Care, a business that purportedly provided services to approximately 325 children at 4 locations in Brooklyn. According to the indictment, Larman registered to operate a child care program at 1 site for 80 children and submitted vouchers to the city's Administration for Children's Services for payment. Our investigation found these vouchers were sham requests and no services were ever provided. But Larman sure made sure he benefited, pocketing nearly $60,000 in city funds. Further troubling was an inspection at one of Larman's actual sites. We found rat poison and excrement on the floor. As you can see in this photo, can I have the photo? Maybe you can. As you can see in this photo, we found garbage piled in the backyard, preventing people from getting to the egress. We found rotten milk in the fridge, and can I have the next photo? We found the fire alarm lever in the lobby falling off the wall. The site was closed that day. Elena Kaplan runs ABC Little Star Daycare in Brooklyn. And according to the indictment, when health inspectors visited the site, she provided them with a false teacher certificate that allowed Kaplan to function as an education director, fake master's degrees for a teacher on site, and a fabricated fingerprint letter from DOI. When we searched the property, We found phony certifications demonstrating that staff had received training in identifying child abuse. Gina Schiavo is the owner of one-of-a-kind child care in Staten Island. According to the criminal complaint, she provided a health inspector with fraudulent documents that included letters stating 2 teachers had completed background checks showing no record of child abuse. Victoria Federovich is the owner of Nomiki Daycare in Brooklyn. According to the criminal complaint, she provided bogus documents to prove that 2 employees had received the required training in identifying and reporting child abuse, and a volunteer had received the required 15-hour safety training. Let me be clear and direct. The conduct exposed in these investigations ignored children's well-being and was meant to evade the city's health and safety regulations and cover up safety concerns and theft. In one of these cases, that conduct meant tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars intended for children lined the pockets of one of the defendants. The good news? The city's inspection process for child care facilities caught these crimes. Routine inspections raised concerns, and those concerns were reported to DOI. DOI investigated and worked with the district attorneys, and we reached out to the relevant city agencies to shut down the offending sites. And we will continue with these collaborative efforts. DOI, working with other safety agencies, is vigorously policing the integrity of child care in New York City. Steal from the city, lie to us about our citizens' safety, and we will deal with you severely. I'll give the podium over now to District Attorneys Thompson and Donovan so they can provide some detail on these investigations. Ken?
Thank you, Commissioner Peters. Good morning. Each and every day across the city, parents entrust the care of their children to daycare providers, their infants and their toddlers, and these workers have to follow strict standards. This investigation, however, has revealed that there are some child care providers who would seek to make money by exploiting the system that's designed to protect children. More than a dozen workers at 2 Brooklyn facilities charged in this case had not received the training in health and child safety required. Another employee actually was working at one of these facilities under a fake identity. And when the inspection occurred at that particular site, and this employee realized that they were going to be exposed, they ran out of the facility, just fled. Clearly, these workers were not fit to protect our children. A third daycare provider, as the commissioner alluded to, sought to get paid by billing the city through child care vouchers from ACS for a facility that he didn't even have. It was a fake facility that he claimed to have in East Flatbush, and also billed the city for children that he didn't even have in his care. We cannot have that. Now, all of these allegations are disturbing because they could endanger innocent and helpless children who, along with their parents, deserve better. And so it was why my office worked so closely with the great investigators here at the Department of Investigations, because we have to come together to protect all the children in the city. And so I want to thank you, Commissioner Peters. I want to thank your fine staff. I also want to thank the folks in my office, in the Brooklyn DA's office, who helped us put this case together on our end, and that is ADA Jennifer McCauley. I want to also thank our Deputy Chief of Public Integrity, Emily Bradford, our Chief of Public Integrity, Michael Spinakos, and our Chief of Investigations, William Schaefer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. One thing that's very obvious today is that Kenny Thompson's budget's bigger than mine because he's got so many chiefs. On Staten Island, with the cooperation and leadership of Commissioner Peters and the staff in my office, we were able to shut down one-of-a-kind daycare on Staten Island. Unfortunately, from what Ken just said, this was not one-of-a-kind center because he had the same problem we were experiencing in Staten Island over in Brooklyn. Gina Schiavo ran this facility and falsified documents which are required by the state to prove that your employees have passed an inspection and are not child abusers, child molesters, not on the sex registry, and various other things that they go through to make sure that these people are proper people to be caring for our children. Gina's stupidity was that she used documents when she falsified it that at the time showed that Eliot Spitzer was the governor, although he had not been governor for 4 years, and that another occasion that David Patterson was the governor, and that was about 6 months after Andrew Cuomo was sworn in as our governor. So although she thought she was getting over on the state, it was very easy to detect her forgeries. We shut down one-of-a-kind daycare center on Wednesday at the arrest of Ms. Schiavo. And at that time, we had children who were attending that facility who were in harm's way. With the result of the investigators from DOI and the prosecutors in my office, we shut that down and not only took those children out of harm's way, but future children who would have attended that facility. So, Mark, I want to thank you and your staff, as well as the people in my office, who have ensured the safety of some more children on Staten Island. And hopefully, with the exposure of what happened in Brooklyn and what happened on Staten Island, people who are skirting the system right now will realize that if they are, we will catch them. And maybe some more children who were not in harm's way during these investigations will no longer be. Thank you so much.